Walk through a Renaissance gallery, and you will see the crown of thorns depicted as a neat, woven circlet, resting gently on a serene face. The historical record reveals a much darker, violent reality. In 33 AD, inside the Jerusalem praetorium, a prisoner was handed over to Roman soldiers. These men were seasoned executioners, trained in psychological warfare against enemies of the state. Rome operated on a strict culture of honor and shame. For a prisoner claiming royal authority, simply killing him was insufficient. The soldiers gathered local materials to improvise a device specifically designed to maximize his public humiliation. The design they chose was a cynical parody of the corona triumphalis. This laurel wreath was the highest marker of status in the empire, worn on the heads of victorious Roman emperors and generals. To complete the theater, they draped a faded military cloak over his shoulders and shoved a fragile, dried reed into his bound hands. They built the complete wardrobe for a king of nothing. The soldiers intended to construct a simple psychological joke. Their rough application of the local flora engineered an instrument of devastating physiological trauma. The soldiers didn't have to look far for their materials. The dry, rocky hills of the Levant are packed with hostile vegetation perfectly suited for their purpose. Botanists point to the ziziphus spinae christi as the likely candidate. The branches of this plant are flexible enough to be tightly woven, yet they bear long, needle-sharp spikes strong enough to pierce human bone. Contemporary accounts suggest the crown was not carefully placed on the captive's head. It was violently jammed downward, as soldiers used heavy reed scepters to strike the wood, driving the spikes deep into the tissue. The human scalp contains a massive vascularity directly beneath the skin. Puncture wounds here produce an immediate flow of blood. Beneath this lies the trigeminal nerve. Sharp strikes to this cluster trigger an intense, electric shock-like agony radiating through the entire jaw. This combination of blood loss and neurological shock transformed a bored soldier's prop into a catalyst for physiological collapse. The shroud of Turin is a centuries-old linen cloth bearing the imprint of a traumatized face. Its blood-stain distribution reveals a dense, chaotic pattern of puncture wounds covering the entire top of the skull, suggesting a thick, helmet-like cap of thorns. The resulting trauma was highly kinetic. With every footstep, every sudden stumble and fall, the rigid nest of thorns shifted and ground against the skull. Once nailed to the wooden beam, the mechanics of crucifixion force a victim to repeatedly push up to breathe. Each time the head met the rough wood of the cross, the thorns were driven deeper into the scalp. The painful device could not be adjusted. This constant, radiating pain ensured the victim's final hours were defined by physical agony. Following the execution, the crown was left behind. Over the following centuries, this bundle of bloody, dried weeds became the most sought-after treasure in the Christian world. The relic traveled from the Byzantine emperors in Constantinople to Venetian merchants, eventually reaching the hands of King Louis IX of France. In 1238, Louis paid 135,000 livres to secure the crown, a financial investment that dwarfed the cost of building an entire cathedral. To house his prize, Louis ordered the construction of Sainte-Chapelle. He built a Gothic masterpiece to serve as a giant jewelry box for the relic. The crown remained there until the French Revolution. While angry mobs melted down the gold reliquaries, the faithful secretly smuggled the wooden thorns out of the city to safety. It found a home in Notre Dame de Paris, where it stayed until the 2019 fire. As the cathedral's roof collapsed, a human chain of firefighters braved the heat specifically to rescue the crown. Through imperial collapse, revolution, and fire, the wood endured. A tool designed for an afternoon of torture became an immortal artifact. Today, the surviving relic consists of a braided circle of dried rushes. Over centuries, the individual thorns were removed and gifted to churches and monarchs across the globe. The artifact holds a staggering theological weight. In ancient literature, thorns are the physical sign of a cursed earth. The narrative presents the creator of the world wearing the sign of its brokenness upon his brow. This redefines authority.
It suggests that power is not found in imperial might, but in the strength required to endure sacrifice. The soldiers in the praetorium built a weapon to humiliate a prisoner. History absorbed that cruelty and inverted it, transforming a tool of shame into a symbol of empathy.